What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about some pretty disturbing news. So, apparently, there are many European countries out there who are starting to issue travel advisories against visiting the United States. You know, us. Basically saying, don't travel to the US. Or be very careful if you do. So, in other words, traveling here to America has been deemed dangerous by a lot of countries out there. And to be completely honest, as an American, this makes me feel a lot of different things, like shocked, appalled at what we've done to make like so much of the rest of the world feel this way. It makes me sad. It makes me sad. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But to be honest, given a lot of the recent developments that are happening here in the United States, I get it. Like, I totally understand where a lot of these European countries are coming from. I have to say, for Americans out there, I think there's Americans who are thinking, well, what did we do? What did we do to deserve this? We didn't do anything wrong. We're the best. And it's like, stop. Just stop. Like, look around the room. If it was just one other country, maybe, doing this to America, it'd be like, okay, maybe there's two sides of the story here. But when it's literally 10 other countries all saying the same thing, 10 other countries all doing this, saying, I don't think it's smart to travel to the US. It's time for Americans to stop and pay attention and listen to this. Because clearly there's a problem going on here. So, today I want to check out this video by Global Village. The title of this video really caught my attention because I've heard a little bit about these incidents in the news. And what I'm talking about is people who have been visiting the United States and have been detained, people who have been held against their will, people who have been turned down at the border or sent home who had a right to be here in the US, but we decided we didn't want them here anymore, even though they were legally residing here. Stuff like that I've heard about in our news, but this video title says 10 countries are now warning their citizens not to visit the United States. I had no idea it was this widespread. 10 countries? Like, I'm shocked. So I think learning more about this and becoming more educated about this is really, really important for not just me, but really all Americans. So let's take a look.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something wild. 10 countries that are straight up telling their people, hey, maybe skip the US for now.
Wow.
Crazy, right? We're talking travel warnings, border dramas, and some serious global shade. Why are these nations hitting the brakes on US trips? Stick around as we break it all down country by country. If you're
Wow. I'm trying to figure out the words to convey why this hits so deeply. And I think it goes against what America is was once trying to strive for. Like, America has always prided itself in being trying to be a world leader and a place where everybody wants to be. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. America, and all Americans should agree on this. One of our goals is to be so great and so wonderful and a great place to live, and we want to be a place where everybody wants to come. Now nobody wants to come. So, Yeah, now nobody wants to come. And I think this should be like bigger news here in the United States. Americans should really be taking note of this because this is literally showing the decline of the United States right here. It's very obvious.
If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and let's get into it.
Oh
First,
yes, this video is by Global Village. If I didn't say that already, let's take a look.
first up, the United Kingdom. The UK's Foreign Office updated its travel advice for the US in March 2025, warning Brits about strict entry rules.
Wow.
They're telling travelers to double check visa or ESTA requirements because even valid documents might not guarantee entry.
Wow.
Reports of British citizens detained at U.S. borders for minor visa issues, like overstays or unclear travel purposes, have spiked since Trump's immigration crackdown kicked in.
Well, okay. So there's a distinction here. If you're breaking the law in the United States, like our visitation laws or our immigration laws, if you're breaking the law, I think you should be subject to the penalties of that. If you are just this idea that people are arriving trying to get into the United States to visit or whatever, and just not having the right travel plans or American border security just not liking you for being from the UK or from another country, or this idea that people are getting turned down from coming into the United States for no real reason other than like speculation or just bias or discrimination, that's terrible. And I mean, it's weird because Trump was elected president of the United States. One of the major reasons, maybe the biggest reason Donald Trump was elected president in the United States was because of illegal immigration and immigration policies. And it seems like now we have taken that and gone so far in the other direction. The idea was to stop the influx of illegal immigration into the United States and just promote legal immigration and travel. And that's great. And we all love that. But now it's gone so far in the other direction, we're discouraging legal immigration and visitation. And so it's somehow swung from the extreme of one end to the extreme of the other. And I don't think most Americans are happy with that.
The advisory doesn't call it a ban, but it's clear. Follow the rules or risk arrest. The UK sends about 4 million tourists to the US yearly, so this could dent that number. Some
Wow.
Brits are even canceling trips, fearing a hostile welcome.
Wow.
The tension might tie back to Trump's comments on European trade, too, calling out the EU hasn't helped.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other discussion. I feel like we could talk about this forever. It's like the rhetoric and what Trump and the Vice President Vance have said about Europe and some European countries with some of the things that have been said and the tariffs and the policies, and that is a whole other thing. That's a whole other reason why I'm guessing a lot of Europeans have really been turned off to the idea of traveling to the United States. So, because of Donald Trump and our current government and policies, I think a lot of Europeans don't even want to visit anyway. And now on top of that, you're getting all this poor, like, unfair treatment at our border when you try to come in. It's not good. It's not good. This is starting to make a lot of sense to me. Why so many countries are starting to issue these travel warnings against us.
For now, the UK's message is caution. Enjoy your trip, but have your paperwork in order, or you might be on the next flight home. Next, Germany. The German Federal Foreign Office updated its U.S. travel advice this month, stressing that a visa or ESTA doesn't mean you're in the clear.
Wow.
They've warned that U.S. officials can deny entry at their discretion. No appeal allowed.
That is true. I don't know what the law is like in other countries, but in the United States, it's literally up to the discretion of the individual border officer that you talk to. When you travel into the United States, you're going to talk to somebody. When you arrive, they're going to ask you why you're here. And no matter what your reasoning is, it is up to them. They can just decide to deport you and send you home for any reason, really, which doesn't really make a lot of sense at all. And it seems like that privilege is now being abused to where more and more people from internationally are being sent home, even when you arrive in America with the proper documentation.
This comes after several German nationals were detained at U.S. borders in early 2025, some for past minor overstays or vague travel plans. Germany's not calling it a travel ban, but the tone's serious.
Okay, if you overstay your visa and you break up the law, fine. Okay, you should not do that. So that should have a penalty. I'm okay with that. But vague travel plans? If you come to America with vague travel plans, like you're not exactly sure where you want to go, that should not be penalized with being sent home.
Expect scrutiny. About 2 million Germans visit the U.S. annually, and this could shake that up. The
Wow.
advisory also hints at broader unease. Trump's hardline policies, like his two-gender stance, clash with Germany's progressive values, especially for trans travelers.
Oh, okay.
Add in
Yeah.
trade spats, and it's a perfect storm. Germans are being told to prepare for tough questioning and possible rejection. Travel's still on, but it's
Wow.
not the carefree trip it once was.
Yeah.
Number 3 is
Yeah, Canada. Oh, this will be good. Because God knows there's been a lot of stuff going on between the U.S. and Canada in particular. So, from what I understand, there's a lot of countries issuing warnings like, be careful when you visit the U.S. Make sure your paperwork is in order and just be prepared to get turned away. So, it's not like you guys are straight up saying, do not visit America. We have shut that travel off. Don't go there. It's not to that level yet. But this is a pretty scary first step, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, why would you even want to go to a country where you feel like you're wasting your time? You're just going to get turned down and sent home for the dumbest reason.
Canada, our neighbors to the north. Recently, Canada updated its U.S. travel advisory, urging citizens to register with U.S. authorities if staying over 30 days. This follows a Vancouver woman's week-long detention at the border over a visa mix-up. Canadian MP Charlie Angus even went viral, pleading, avoid the U.S. if possible, calling it a tyranny under Trump.
Yeah, because a Canadian woman was held, like detained. I don't know if she was in jail or where they were holding her. They were holding her. She was just visiting America, and they held her for a week because of like a visa mix-up, or whose fault was that? Like, I need more details about this because this sounds outrageous.
The advisory's practical, follow entry rules or face deportation, but the rhetoric's heated. Canada's worried about Trump's threats to annex them as the 51st state,
Yeah.
plus border crackdowns hitting dual citizens hard.
Yeah.
With millions crossing yearly, this could chill travel. Some Canadians are boycotting U.S. trips over politics, too. It's not a full warning yet, but the vibe's clear. The U.S. isn't as welcoming as it was, and Ottawa wants its people ready for a rougher ride south of the border.
That is the message, isn't it? Yeah, that is the message that America is putting out, aren't we? I never thought of it like this, but that's the perfect way to say it. You're not as welcome as you were before. And that's terrible. Like, God, that's terrible. Like, people should feel very welcome to come visit the United States. For the longest time, the United States, all like Americans, we want people to come visit. Like, we're the idea is that we're supposed to be proud of our country and want to share our culture and share it with people coming internationally. And if you want to immigrate to the United States and you want to contribute to our economy and our society and add your culture to our culture, and that's supposed to be a positive thing, and now it's all has been somehow twisted on its head to all sound like bad things, which I don't even think most Americans are happy about this. I don't think that.
Coming in at 4, Denmark. This Scandinavian country revised its U.S. travel advisory with a twist. It's specifically warning transgender travelers. Why?
Oh, okay.
The Trump administration's two-gender policy means passports with an X marker might get you turned away. Denmark's telling its citizens to contact the U.S. Embassy first if they're trans or non-binary. Beyond that, they're echoing others. Valid visas don't guarantee entry, and enforcement's tight. Denmark's progressive stance clashes with U.S. shifts, and this advisory reflects that tension.
This makes sense to me. Why? Now, this is Denmark. I didn't even know Denmark was in on this. I've heard about some stuff from Germany and Canada. I didn't know the UK was issuing these warnings. I didn't know Denmark was doing this. This is because Trump's government is specifically anti-trans, anti-identifying other as male or female, and somewhere like Denmark, where that's really it's progressive and that's encouraged, and I can see where that could make people affected by that really, really uncomfortable to visit the U.S.
It's not a blanket don't go, but it's a red flag for a specific group. Danish tourists, about 300,000 yearly, might rethink plans, especially with horror stories of border detentions circulating.
Yeah.
Add Trump's EU critiques and Denmark's caution makes sense. Travel's doable, but for some, it's a risk not worth taking right now.
Yeah.
5th on our list is Finland.
Finland?
Like Denmark, Finland updated its U.S. travel advisory in March 2025, zeroing in on transgender and non-binary travelers.
I didn't know there were so many countries that had updated their travel advisories. I thought it was just one or two until I saw this video and it said there were 10.
With Trump's policy recognizing only male or female genders, Finnish passports with X markers could lead to entry denials. The advice: check with the U.S. Embassy before booking. Finland's also warning about stricter border checks. Visas or ESTA approvals aren't sure thing anymore. This follows reports of Europeans, including Finns, facing unexpected detentions. Finland's small...
I want to know more about that. That's really disturbing. What is this unexpected detentions stuff? People from other countries just trying to visit America being held in rooms or jail or questioned and then sent home? I need to know more about that, because that's a really big deal.
But steady flow of U.S. tourists, around 200,000 yearly, might dip if this sticks. The advisory's not a full stop, but it's a heads up. The U.S. feels less predictable now. Tensions over Trump's EU stance and Finland's inclusive values add context.
Makes
sense. For Finns, it's about weighing the hassle against the trip. Caution's the name of the game.
That's the problem with every country in the world now. Because from what I last heard, Trump is now basically encouraging and enacting tariffs against the planet, every other country. So every country will now hate us and not want to visit us anyway. And if for some reason you do want to visit the United States, it's probably really discouraging and annoying to hear that you have to now be concerned about being turned away for no good reason. That's got to be incredibly frustrating if you're a European who somehow, if you want to visit the U.S., which I hope some still do. Gee, but I don't blame you if you don't.
At number 6, France. The French government hasn't issued a formal U.S. travel warning yet, but they updated guidance, urging citizens to be vigilant about entry rules.
Okay.
France is watching the trend. Detentions of Europeans at U.S. borders are up, and they're not taking chances.
Yeah.
The advisory flags that even valid visas might not cut...
Wow, look at this. Is this in France? Look at this. This is beautiful. Where are we? Okay, I'm getting a little distracted. Look at this shot of this city.
If U.S. officials suspect anything off. France sends over 1 million tourists to the U.S. yearly, so this matters.
Yeah.
Some link it to Trump's EU trade jabs. France isn't thrilled with his screw the EU vibe.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
there's chatter about safety for LGBTQ plus travelers after U.S. policy shifts. It's not a don't go yet, but the tone's shifting. Travel blogs say French tourists are nervous about feeling unwelcome. For now,
You know, the more I hear this, and I think this is so important for more Americans to hear this kind of stuff. When you hear all this and listen from an outside point of view, outside of the United States, it becomes very clear Europeans must be like what Europeans probably don't even want to visit the United States. Like, why would you, given everything that's happened and everything that's being said? And so now it's just funny to me. Yeah, there's travel advisories, but travel to America has probably declined by some huge amount anyway. Like, travel and tourism is probably on a huge decline in America.
Now, France says go, but go prepared. The U.S. isn't the open door it once was for less blues. Seventh, New Zealand.
New Zealand?
New Zealand updated its U.S. travel advice, warning Kiwis that entry's no sure thing, even
Wow.
within the SDA. The advisory cites tougher border enforcement, with risks of detention for minor slip-ups like overstays. This followed
I mean, again, this is like this is the one part I'm gonna be like, if you overstay, if that's breaking the rules, that's breaking the law, you deserve to be penalized. So, yeah, like no matter what country you're in, America, no matter what European country you're in, if there is a rules against how long you're allowed to stay, don't overstay. That's the one thing I agree with.
follows a few high-profile cases of New Zealanders turned back at U.S. airports. About 300,000 Kiwis visit the U.S. yearly, and this could slow that down. New Zealand's government isn't saying don't go, but they're blunt. U.S. officials have final say, no exceptions.
Yeah.
Some tie this to Trump's global trade rhetoric. New Zealand's an ally, but not immune to tension. Social media is buzzing with Kiwis debating if it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
Safety's not the issue.
Yeah.
It's the unpredictability. New Zealand's message is clear. Love the U.S., but pack patience and perfect paperwork, or you might be watching the Statue of Liberty from a deportation lounge.
Yeah. I am concerned that maybe Europeans feel like if you visit America, you're not going to be safe. I still think, like, in my opinion, in most parts of America, you're very safe to travel, or like it's a very safe. It's more the problem here is not a question of safety, but is it worth the risk of coming and then getting turned away? Like, because that seems to be happening more and more. And I guess there's a small risk of being detained if you violate some rule by accident or don't have the right papers, or I think you can be detained for any reason. Again, it's up to the discretion of the border officers. They get to decide if they want to pull you into a room and question you. And I understand that probably seems really scary and unattractive.
Number 8 is Australia. Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs raised its U.S. travel advice, warning Aussies to expect rigorous border checks. Even with an ESTA or visa, entry's not guaranteed. U.S. officials can deny you for past overstays or unclear intentions. This comes after reports of Australians detained stateside, some for minor visa hiccups. Around
Wow.
1.5 million Aussies visit the U.S. yearly, so this hits home.
So it sounds like, if I understand correctly, in America, we used to have looser like border rules. If you overstay or don't have clear travel intentions or whatever, in the past, we didn't really care. It's like, yeah, come on in, whatever, it's fine. Now we're really cracking down on all those little things and issuing harsh penalties. So that's something that's really changed in, the last couple months, it sounds like.
The advisory's not a ban, but it's a wake-up call. Trump's immigration push means business. Some Aussies are souring on U.S. trips, citing trade spats and a closed-off vibe.
Yeah.
Safety's fine, but the hassle? Less appealing.
Yeah.
Australia's still pro-travel, urging prep over panic. Check rules, dot I's, cross T's.
Okay.
For now, it's about navigating a stricter system, not avoiding it. The U.S.
Okay.
remains a draw, but the welcome mat's got some new fine print. 9th.
Yeah, like I said, for a lot of countries, it sounds like you're saying, be careful when visiting the U.S. You're not saying don't visit the U.S. Or maybe you are. I don't know. Like maybe inside of your countries, maybe you are all actually saying, like, off the record, talking to each other. You're saying, I'm not traveling to the United States. That's stupid. Like, I'm sure people are saying that.
Ireland. Ireland's Department of Foreign Affairs updated its U.S. travel advice, cautioning citizens about tighter entry rules. They're warning that even valid visas or ESTAs might not get you past U.S. customs if something's off, like a passed over stay. This follows tales of Irish travelers detained at borders, sparking headlines back home.
Wow.
Ireland sends about 700,000 tourists to the U.S. yearly, many tied to family ties, so this stings. The advisory's not a don't go, but a be ready. U.S. enforcement's no joke under Trump. Some Irish see it as fallout from his EU critiques. Others just want a smooth J one summer. No major safety flags, just procedural headaches.
Okay.
Ireland's keeping it practical. Know the rules.
Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, France. So many countries I had no idea were taking such a hard stance like this. So I'm really glad I'm actually much more aware of this.
Or risk a U-turn. The U.S. is still a draw, but the charm's dimming if you're stuck explaining yourself at JFK. Caution's key here. Finally, the Netherlands. The Dutch government tweaked its U.S. travel advice, warning citizens that entry's trickier now.
Wow.
Even with an ESTA or visa, U.S. officials can say no. Passed overstays or vague plans could land you in detention. This follows a few Dutch travelers getting bounced at the border, raising eyebrows.
Wow.
The Netherlands sends about...
Sounds like all of these countries have had there's news, because there are experiences now from all 10 of these countries of people from all of these places being turned around, or detained, or questioned, or a variety of different things are happening. So that's kind of been the impetus for why so many countries are starting to issue these travel advisories, I think.
About 800,000 tourists to the U.S. yearly, and this might cool that off. The advisory's not a ban, just a heads up. Trump's policies mean stricter scrutiny. Some Dutch tie it to his EU trade barbs. Relations are chillier. Others worry about progressive travelers, like trans folks, facing hassles after the two-gender rule. Safety's not the issue. Unpredictability is. The Dutch say go, but go smart. Check everything twice.
All right, and that is pretty much the end of this video. 10 different countries issuing different degrees of warnings to their citizens, but I mean, just looking at this at face value, looking at this whole picture, this is just a bad look for the United States. And I said this at the beginning. If everybody else is calling you crazy, like, you probably are. Because I'm sure there's a lot of Americans who are in denial about a lot of this stuff. And it's like 10 different countries are saying, think twice about visiting the U.S. And that says a lot. I am really paying attention to this. This has really opened my eyes to some of the problems we have here in America, which I think no matter what country you live in, you need to be open to criticism of your country and bettering yourself and making more informed decisions. So I'm glad I took a look at this. This was pretty shocking to me. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on traveling to the United States, what country you're from, and, are people having a different attitude towards the U.S.? Are you having warnings against visiting us? Do you don't want to visit us anymore anyway? Or any of that would be really awesome to hear about from people outside the America. So, and if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.